Et salut tout le monde, on se retrouve pour découvrir le nouvel événement sur Genshin Impact. Et je m'excuse d'avance parce que j'ai déjà en fait commencé la vidéo, tourné la vidéo même. Sauf que il y a eu un problème au niveau de l'enregistrement et il manque le début de la vidéo, donc le début de la quête. Et c'est chiant parce que du coup ça fait arriver en cours de dialogue. Donc pour vous faire un résumé rapide, il y a un festival qui est organisé, donc à Inazuma. C'est Yaemiko qui gère le truc, sauf qu'elle va pas faire comme elle fait d'habitude dans les coutumes, enfin elle va rendre ça un peu plus international, parce que Inazuma, machin, ils sont plus en mode confinement et tout, enfin voilà, tout le monde peut venir de l'extérieur avec un visa et tout, donc ils ont invité plein de gens, et voilà. Sauf qu'il y a des petits soucis, il y a le mec qui organise ça, il a un problème, alors il a dit qu'il avait pas de problème, sauf que on voit bien qu'il y a un problème. Et donc, bon, dans la vidéo, en gros, vous allez débarquer un peu là-dedans, quoi. On est en train de parler à Miko. Et voilà, c'est pas super bien résumé, je suis désolé, ça m'embête. Mais bon, vous allez voir par la suite est cool et suffit à comprendre un peu ce qui se passe. Donc voilà, sur ce, bon visionnage, bisous.
Indeed. To describe it in the words of the ancients, it'd be refined elegance. Unfortunately, with the flow of time, people have gradually forgotten about the Five Kasen and the festival. Which is precisely why I've decided to revive the Iridori Festival by holding a cultural convention featuring light novels.
But wait a minute! Light novels?
Vous parlez de raffinement à l'instant.
Please stop looking at me with those baffled expressions. In ancient times, poetry was all the rage, but nowadays, the entertainment format of choice is light novels. The important thing is not the format, but the creative work itself. It is impossible to come up with anything fresh if you're stuck using some rigid format of the past.
Ok.
Speaking of which, don't you think that the concept of focusing on the now perfectly suits the current Inazuma? And besides, it's a great opportunity to reintroduce Inazuma to all Teyvat through light novels. As they say, it's two birds with one stone.
Du grand n'importe quoi présenté de manière sérieuse.
Whoa, that was close. Paimon was nearly carried away by Miko's persuasive tongue.
Voilà.
Come on, Miko, you can't fool us.
Paimon, elle est pas convaincue encore.
Now. This is all definitely stemming from your own personal interest.
I can't deny that my hobbies had no part to play in this. However, regardless of whether it's light novels or a festival, catching people's attention with a fresh concept is the essence here. Well, what do you say? Aren't you two even a little curious about what interesting things
Alors,
you
qu'est-ce qui va
might
se
see at
passer
the
pendant ce festival?
Maybe a little. Oh, all right.
Bah,
I'm super
Paimon
curious
pas curieuse,
now.
non mais... Allô? On est fou? On marche sur la tête?
Let's pay a visit to the venue in Rito together. I promise that it will give you a whole new perspective on the festival. There we'll meet a special someone who will tell you more about your tasks.
Très bien. Donc apparemment il y a plein de trucs qui ont changé. Rendez-vous sur le site du festival. Ok, c'est pas à côté. Ça, faut que j'arrête de le suivre. Ça me stresse. Arrêtez. Voilà. Et on va aller ici. Alors, qu'est-ce qui a changé?
During the Iridori Festival, the area around the Outlander Affairs Agency will become the main exhibition space for light novels. Once things are in full swing, not only will there be lots of official and fan-created work on display, there will also be exclusive giveaways, prizes, and new release
Une
parties.
petite loterie.
This small plaza in front of the International Trade Association will be called the Five Kasen Plaza during the festival, and nearby shops will be selling special light novel merchandise. You certainly won't want to miss out.
Wow. How should Paimon put this?
Il y a déjà plein de nouveautés.
It's definitely not your typical festival, but it sure looks like it'll be quite the party. Huh. Miko, what are these blank boards in the center of the plaza?
Yes, those are...
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Ah, Lady I did mention that there would be some
Ah, il est là, lui, Ayato.
reliable helpers coming to assist with the festivities. It appears she meant you two.
C'est bien, on va le voir un peu
At
plus.
last we meet again, Traveler and Paimon. Tell me, how are you faring recently?
Oh, it's Ayato! Wow, so even a busy guy like yourself is here to attend the Iridori Festival.
Preparing festivals falls under the Yashiro Commission's scope of responsibilities. Seeing as Lady Ai has poured her heart and soul into the preparations, I'm obliged to be equally dedicated.
Come now, Ayato. We're not strangers here.
Ok,
There's no need
ils se
to sound
connaissent.
so formal. We were just about to discuss the boards over here. They're related to our little helper's tasks, so I'll let you give them a detailed rundown.
Ah, c'est
Certainly.
un tableau des quêtes.
I assume you two already know that the Iridori Festival originated from the 5 Kasen. These 5 boards are here for painting their portraits. This Iridori Festival is not only the first major festival to be held in Inazuma since the lifting of the Sakoku decree, it is also an event deeply rooted in culture and the arts.
Ok, la culture et
Therefore,
l'art.
the Yashiro Commission has personally invited several cultural celebrities from other nations. For example, the artist we have invited to
Ah,
paint
donc
these
nous,
portraits hails from the distant land of
Il nous a
Mondstadt.
invités, quoi.
The Yashiro Commission will arrange accommodations and food in Inazuma for each of the distinguished guests. However, we fear that staying in a foreign land may feel a little uncomfortable. Which is precisely why it would be ideal to have someone familiar with both Inazuma
Ah non,
and
ok,
other
nous, on
nations
a le
of
rôle de
Teyvat to
guide.
serve as a guide for our guests. I knew you would catch on. It is our hope that you would be able to guide the guests from the harbor to their residence at the International Trade Association, while providing any necessary assistance along the way. This arrival schedule includes the details of the ships on which the guests will be arriving. All you simply have to do is go to the docks at the indicated times.
D'accord. Waouh. 2 jours avant le festival, information du navire, machin. Ah, d'arrivée prévue, 8h. Ok. 8h, 10h, 9h, 10h.
It's settled then. My, look at the time. I have to meet with my editors, so I must be going now. During the festival, most of the Yai Publishing House's editors will be staying near the Outlander Affairs Agency. If you run into any problems, you may
D'accord.
find them there.
This festival requires the full cooperation of the Tri-Commission, and there are still many minor details which require my attention, so I must excuse myself for now. I'll leave the guests in your hands.
Très bien, on va s'occuper des guests.
All the details we need about the ships are on the timetable
Élégance
that
Festival,
Ayato gave
c'est
us.
fini. Étrange histoire de la
Take a
teinture
closer
d'ivresse.
look, and be sure to pick up the passengers according to the times written on it.
Ok, faut y aller à 6h. Hop, le lendemain, carrément une journée entière. Tac. Tic tac, tic tac, tic tac. Et voilà, on a dormi debout. Ok. On est bon.
According to the arrival schedule, there will be a ship arriving.
Est-ce que je peux me TP? Oui, carrément au port. Hop. Normalement, là, il y a des bateaux qui sont arrivés. Enfin, un bateau.
The artist for the... Hello! You must be here to take part in the Iridori Festival. We're
Okay.
the festival guides, and we'll show you around.
Il y a vraiment que
Yes,
nous.
that's right. We are bards from Mondstadt. Word has it that Inazuma has undergone many changes of late. We hope to find fresh inspiration here.
These guests are all bards, aren't they? Well, where's Tondef Bard then?
De barres de bateaux, de bateaux cotillés.
Strange. He's pretty famous in Mondstadt. Do you
Ah.
think he didn't receive an invitation? Huh? Why's that? Oh, Paimon sees what you're getting at. Even though Venti no longer rules over Mondstadt, He's
Eh ben
still
oui.
an archon. If he came rushing to Inazuma at the first mention of a festival, not
Oh
only would
putain.
it seem a little
Klee.
childish, it would also sort of be shameless of him too.
Mr. Honorary Knight, Paimon!
On t'entend pas, t'es caché.
Were you also invited to the Iridori Festival?
No, Albedo's the one who received the invitation.
Ah bah oui, c'est Albedo.
But because everyone in the Knights of Favonius has been really busy these days, Albedo arranged for someone here to issue me a dependent
Ben
pass.
voilà. Comme ça, tout le monde est là.
Greetings, traveler in Paimon. After hearing that Inazuma was making preparations for the Irodori Festival, I predicted that I might run into you here.
Ha! Paimon knew it! Albedo's the one they've invited to paint the 5 Kasen!
It seems that you already know why I'm here. Just so
Ah bah
you're
oui.
aware, I'll be using my pen name in Inazuma.
Celui qui
Counts.
fait la peinture.
Oh, by
Peinture.
the way, do you know where the International Trade Association is? I'll be meeting with the editorial director of the Yai Publishing House there.
Bon, on va trouver ça. Hein.
The International Trade Association is where you'll be staying in Inazuma. We'll be heading there too.
Great. Let's get going then.
Ok, on y go. Ça a combien? C'est loin. Bah, c'est où on était tout à l'heure en fait. Hop. Il y a les peintures.
Wow, it's so beautiful here! So many things I've never seen before.
Elle est comme une enfant. Enfin,
Slow
c'est une
down,
enfant.
Klee. Please be careful not to bump into others.
C'est son daron.
Telling Klee so many stories about Inazuma during the trip was probably not the best idea. As a result, she could hardly sleep all the way here. It appears she's even more excited now that we've arrived.
C'est vrai que si elle est en forme, c'est mieux.
Strange. It seems that the editorial director, Mr. Hiroyama, isn't here yet. I'm certain he said that he'd be sure to arrive before me. This might be a problem. Well, Mr. Hiroyama was supposed to meet with me and give me some reference materials about the 5 Kasen today. That way, I could better visualize the content for my paintings.
Ouais, c'est embêtant
You
du coup.
mean you had no idea what you'd be painting before you arrived in Inazuma?
I only know of the 5 Kasen by name. Because of the sheer age of the tale, very little has been passed down to this day.
Klee, elle est comme une
So
folle.
Mr. Hiroyama decided
Elle est
to
un peu
help me
fatiguée là.
collect some more information. I'm the type of painter who can complete a painting quickly as long as I'm inspired. So I agreed on only receiving the details today.
So when do the paintings have to be done by?
According to the festival plans, the portraits will be revealed one at a time throughout the various stages of the Irodori Festival. The first one, depicting Suikou, will need to be done
oui,
before the
après-demain, quand même.
festival's official opening ceremony, which
Ok,
is the day after
dépêche.
tomorrow.
The day after tomorrow? Then you're already running out of time!
There's no need to panic. When I was working on light novel illustrations, because the manuscripts are shipped by boat, things were always tight and finished at the last minute. Just last month, to ensure the latest book of A Legend of Sword would be finished for the Irodori Festival, I had to complete the final chapter's illustrations the same day I received the manuscript.
Ah oui, il a fait en un jour quoi.
I
Même
heard that
pas.
my illustrations were sent to print as soon as they arrived in Inazuma. I still don't know how well they turned out.
Paimon isn't sure if she should feel sympathetic for your working conditions or compliment you on your artistic genius.
C'est vrai que c'est un génie
Of
Albedo quand même.
course, I would still prefer to receive any possible reference materials in advance so that I can be better prepared.
Oh, right! The editors of the Yai Publishing House will all be around the Outlander Affairs Agency these
Allez, on va
next
aller
few
les
days.
voir. On va t'arranger ça, petit
Who
Albedo.
knows? Maybe Mr. Hiroyama's over there too. We'll take you over there to see if we can
Regarde
find
là,
him,
elle
Albedo.
est partout.
Alright, it's worth a try.
Elle est complètement folle.
Klee, you haven't slept for a while now. Please stay at our residence in the International Trade Association and get some rest. We will be back soon.
Okie dokie. Don't
Okie
worry,
dokie.
Albedo. I'll be on my best behavior.
Ok, c'est bon, on lui fait confiance. Et hop, c'est pas loin.
This can't be happening. The moment we need to contact Onodera is when he's on special leave. Kuroda and I will
Ah,
go
mais
back to
Onodera,
Inazuma's
c'est
for an
le...
emergency printing run.
C'est celui qui est en charge du
The
projet, là.
demand for this book is so high, though.
Qui était pas bien.
Even with the emergency prints, it still might not be enough.
Despite everything, we're still lucky that we found out today. If this had happened a few days later, then we'd really be in boiling water. Hey, do you think that suspicious guy they found in the warehouse has anything to do with this?
Well, the editorial director is on his way over there to investigate the situation as we speak.
Sorry to
Okay.
interrupt, but what's going on here?
Oh, hey, traveler. Don't worry. It's nothing, just an internal issue. That's all. How can I help you?
Ils sont tous en
I'm looking
panique.
for
Hein.
the editorial director, Mr. Hirayama. Does anyone know where he is now?
Mr. Hirayama is currently at the warehouse down by the harbor.
Oh, hold on a second, Murata.
Oula.
Excuse me, but you must be Calx, the one who was invited to paint the 5 kasen for the festival?
C'est ça.
Yes, that's me.
My name is Kuroda. You must be inquiring about information regarding the 5 kasen. I do apologize, but please make yourself comfortable at the International Trade Association, and I will let Mr. Hirayama know to send you the materials right
Enfin,
away.
on est un peu pressé. Hein.
Oh,
C'est pour
no
après-demain.
need. You guys look super busy, so we can go find him ourselves.
About that.
Excuse me, but is there something wrong with the latest volume of A Legend of Sword?
Huh? How did you know?
Oh là là. Parce qu'il a pas vu la finalité.
Since you were all aware that Mr. Hirayama needed to send me some supporting materials, that means the editorial director didn't forget about it. Instead, something urgent must have cropped up. To add to that, despite being aware that I am Calx, you were still unwilling to let me go to Mr.
Ça
Hirayama
veut dire qu'il y a un
directly.
problème.
After considering these factors, the only reason you would try to stall me is if something happened to A Legend of Sword, which I did the illustrations for.
Well, I'm very sorry. The situation
alors
is just as you
raconte-nous.
said, Calx.
Qu'est-ce qu'ils ont
I
fait?
suppose it doesn't hurt to tell you now. Earlier today, someone spotted a suspicious outlander sneaking around inside the Iridori Festival warehouse down by the docks. So they promptly alerted the Tenryou Commission. The Tenryou Commission was concerned about potential cargo theft, so they contacted everyone who was renting space in the warehouse. It was then that we realized that the latest copies of A Legend of Sword had suddenly gone missing.
Oh merde.
What? The books are missing?
Donc ils ont été volés.
Not so loud. Not only is this book an eagerly anticipated release in the last phase of the Iridori Festival, but the author, Chinyu, will be personally attending the release party as well.
Because of the dire situation, Mr. Hirayama immediately hurried to the warehouse to determine whether the theft was related to that suspicious outlander.
I see.
Ok, bon on va les aider, on va régler ça.
It would be a great misfortune if A Legend of Sword would not be released on schedule. And quite a disappointment for Chenyu as well. If Mr. Hirayama has gone to the warehouse at the docks, then I'll go down to see if I can be of any help.
Nous on a des talents dans la
So
recherche,
the author of A Legend
dans les
of
enquêtes.
Sword is Jayu. Sounds familiar. Hey, isn't that Xingqiu's pen name?
Oh, do you know him?
Bah oui, on le connaît.
Xingqiu would definitely be upset if he discovers his books are missing. Let's accompany Albedo to the warehouse too.
Allez, faut aller aider. Ah mais en fait il est... ouais, ok. Il est vraiment allé à 2 pas le mec.
More speed.
Oula, ah mais il y a Venti aussi. Oh là là.
It's you! Why are you here?
I'm here on behalf of the Tenryou Commission, of course. Is that surprising?
No, Sara, Paimon wasn't talking about you!
Venti.
So, Tone Deaf Bard. A suspicious outlander in the warehouse wouldn't happen to be you, would it?
Considering the evidence, it
Oh là
appears
là.
that the suspicious outlander
Qu'est-ce qu'il a foutu
is
encore?
indeed me.
As I have told you, you are a suspect. Before your allegations of theft and illegal entry as a stowaway are cleared, you are to remain silent.
Sauf
Don't
que
make me say it again.
Kujou Sara, elle rigole pas.
Traveler, Paimon, do you know this self-proclaimed bard from Mondstadt?
Oui, il est vraiment barde en plus.
Listen, Sara. Knowing him, it's safe to say that he wasn't behind the theft. But what's this about being a stowaway?
Although he claims to be a special guest for the Iridori festival, he's failed to present his invitation letter. Therefore, we can only suspect that he might have entered the country illegally. And just a moment ago, we caught him in a dandelion wine crate near the Sailing Breeze.
Dans une caisse à vin. Oh lolo lolo.
If it would help shed any light on the situation, then please, be my guest.
Oh, Venti! You didn't really come here illegally, did you?
Ouch, your words wound me. We've been apart for so long, and the moment we meet again, all I'm greeted with is grilling questions and
Tu fais pas
suspicious
d'efforts aussi.
glares. You arrived in Inazuma via similar means, or so I heard. You of all people should be more understanding, don't you think?
Similar means?
Oh merde. Ah ouais, c'est bon, c'était il y a longtemps.
I merely jest. Fear not, for the person who sent me the invitation is none other than Kamisato Ayato of Yashiro Commission. It's unlikely that someone acquainted with the likes of him would ever be here illegally, right?
But why weren't you on the same ship as the other bards?
Well, once I received the invitation letter, I couldn't help but want to come to Inazuma a little early. It was then that I happened upon
il est
a
vraiment
cargo
bête,
ship
Venti.
bound for Inazuma
Au final, il arrive
transporting
en même temps que les
dandelion
autres.
wine. So, naturally, I decided to set sail with them. Once aboard, I found the captain to be a kindred spirit, and I was treated to an abundance of fine liquor along the way. I must have fallen asleep in the cargo crate while carefully
il s'est endormi,
comparing
en
the
fait.
tastes of dandelion wine and Inazuman sake. And when I woke up, I found myself in this warehouse with a Tenryou Commission General glaring at me from atop the grate.
Coming from Venti, this story is quite believable.
Ridicule, oui.
But it's...
Excuse me, I'm the owner of the stolen goods from the IA Publishing House, and there are some questions I would like to ask you.
Lui, il attend
Based
depuis
on
tout à
what you
l'heure.
just said, it seems you've been in the warehouse for some time now. If that's the case, did you happen to hear anything unusual?
Ah bah oui, un témoin.
Actually, I did hear some faint footsteps around me a couple of times, but I didn't consider the sound anything out of the ordinary.
But if you clearly heard something, why didn't you feel it was unusual?
Oh, I seem to understand now.
Ok.
What did you notice, Albedo?
When it comes to burglars, they are generally associated with prying or rummaging through things. What Venti means is that he did not hear anything unusual like
Ouais, c'était
that.
des bruits normaux.
As for the sound of footsteps, because this is a warehouse where many goods are coming in and out each day, it is quite normal for people to be walking around.
I see. But if that's the case, then we're back to square one regarding the stolen
Exactement.
books.
No, not quite. From the facts that have been presented to us, we can draw at least 3 conclusions now. First, whoever took the novels is not a spur-of-the-moment burglar. They had their sights on the books from the very beginning. Second, the culprit was very familiar with the warehouse, and might even have a key. And third...
D'accord. C'est qu'il n'y a pas qu'un seul voleur.
I knew you'd catch on, Traveler.
Ah.
One person couldn't possibly transport
C'est une
so
bande
many heavy
organisée.
books in such a short window of time. It must have been a team effort. It goes without saying that Venti clearly does not match up with our culprits.
Yes, I agree with your reasoning. Mr. Hirayama, the
Albedo, le
Tenryou
best
Commission will
enquêteur.
continue by investigating the warehouse staff. If you come across any further clues, please notify us immediately.
Yes, understood. I'll leave it to you then.
I suppose I'm free as a bird then.
Enfin, t'es quand même...
Not so
Voilà.
fast. Even though we've cleared the theft allegations, we still haven't ascertained
Voilà, c'est un
whether your
clandestin.
arrival in Inazuma was legal or not.
Aw, 'tis a shame. I thought surely after my honest account you might let me off the hook.
Sara's quite the meticulous one. So, where's your invitation letter, Venti?
Yes, the invitation letter. I'm truly sorry. I can't seem to remember
Oh
where
là,
I
il fait que
may
des
have put
conneries.
it.
How could you lose something so important?
Don't be mistaken. I was well aware of how important it was. But I didn't bring any luggage with me, and the letter was too big to fit in my pocket. So I
Oh,
kept it in
t'abuses, c'est un
my
papier.
hand the whole trip. Strange. Though I had a little too much to drink, I know that I kept it in a secure place.
Quelqu'un lui a
I
volé.
even recall being most pleased at coming up with a good idea at the time.
If you were holding the invitation in your hand the whole time, then why did you put it down?
Well, to properly compare the taste of Mondstadt wine and Inazuman sake, I had to hold a glass in each hand. I couldn't both hold the invitation and a glass at the same time. But surely I wouldn't put it in just any random place.
Du coup, qu'est-ce
It
qu'il en
could
a fait?
easily be misplaced.
In which case, I believe there's only one place it could be. Have you figured it out, traveler?
Huh? You're way ahead of Paimon. Do you two already know where the invitation
Bah,
letter
dans le
is?
tonneau? Non? Dans sa chaussure, dans sa cape, dans son chapeau. Ouais, du coup, dans son chapeau.
Ah, yes! I remember now.
C'est ça?
I knew you'd help me find it.
De toute façon, je pense que les trois marchaient.
This is indeed an invitation letter issued by the
Ok, c'est
Yashiro
bon.
Commission. Now that we've confirmed this guest's identity, I have no further questions. However, starting tonight, I would advise you to stay at the International Trade Association. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be leaving now.
Très bien.
There goes Sara. All right, let's go talk to Mr. Hirayama about Albedo's reference materials.
Mr. Hiroyama, I'm Calx. We had originally arranged to meet today.
Ah, yes, so you are Calx. I'm very sorry that you've arrived in Inazuma only to find such a mess.
C'est vrai qu'on a
These are the
connu mieux.
materials regarding the 5 Kassen. All the information that we could find is compiled here.
Ok, bon, il y a beaucoup de choses encore. Trop de choses.
Let's see here. Yes, it's just as I had suspected. Monikers such as Suikou and Aoi no Okina
C'est
aren't
des
the real names
pseudonymes.
of the 5 Kassen. Though there were once many stories regarding each of the 5 Kassen, the validity of their contents can no longer be verified in present times. Alas, what a shame. But, at the very least, we know that most of the stories were written according to a similar style, so there is still something we may glean from this.
C'est vrai.
So, is the info useful for your paintings, Albedo?
To some extent, yes. However, I must admit that it is still lacking and fails to fulfill the most crucial element.
D'accord, il manque
Inspiration.
encore des choses.
I am sorry that this information is not as exhaustive as you had hoped. However, it is not possible to gather anything more at the moment. Though, Lady Yai did say that there are many variations of the story about the 5 Kassen, and everyone has a different story in their heart. So all you need to do is follow through with what's in your own heart, and create something that you yourself find interesting.
D'accord, en fait, faut improviser.
That does sound like something Miko would say.
Thank you, Mr. Hiroyama. No need to worry. I'll find inspiration for the portraits.
Great. I'll leave it to you then, Calx. Oh, and there's one more thing I need to ask of everyone.
Très bien.
Tomorrow
Qu'est-ce que
morning, Mr. Genyu, the author of A Legend of Sword, will be arriving in Inazuma by boat. If you see him,
Ok.
please do not mention the stolen novels for the time being.
C'est bon, on va rien lui
Whether
dire.
the stolen books are eventually recovered or not, the Yae Publishing House will do its best to ensure that the novel's release is a success. You have my gratitude. I'll be going then.
Allez, à plus.
Well,
On
since
gère.
there's nothing more we can do here, let's go.
Qu'est-ce qui veut Venti?
Venti? What are you doing over there? You don't want us to leave you behind, do you?
Traveler, Albedo, would you mind coming over here for a moment? There's something peculiar that I think you should see.
Oh, un indice. Qu'est-ce qu'il a vu?
What is it, Venti? A piece of paper?
Indeed. When I awakened to find myself in the warehouse this morning, I discovered this paper in the cargo crate where I was sleeping. I didn't think much of it then. I thought it was merely a scrap piece of paper that had fallen into the cargo. After a quick glance, I stuffed it into a place nearby.
Bah bravo, déjà, il jette le papier par terre, c'est pas bon.
I think it's worth
Les
having
papiers
you
c'est dans
take
la
a look
poubelle,
at
les gars.
what's written on it.
Waouh, si loin nanana, du monde. Et ma chaumière, pourtant, mon nom attire le vacarme. Je m'en suis allé, les cœurs des 5 en ma possession. Quelle surprise quand sur la route je découvre qu'une page des poèmes est manquante. Devant votre fureur, Shogun, j'implore pardon. Je me creuse la tête jusqu'à ce que mes souvenirs reviennent prestement. Semblerait-il qu'hier soir, je me sois enivré. Ok, je pense que c'est écrit pas comme ça. Enivré jusqu'à en perdre la raison. Ok. Dans mon sommeil, j'ai fait le rêve du nombre me longeant. Ok. Qu'est-ce donc, votre excellence? Sinon l'œuvre d'un larron. Je sais pas ce que c'est un larron. C'est bien sa faute si j'affiche devant vous cet air désolant. Très bien.
Suikou chapter. Wait a minute. Isn't Suikou the name of one of the 5 Kasen?
The story told in this poem roughly boils down to Suikou getting tipsy and letting some poems that were meant for the shogun get stolen. Ah, this story sounds familiar to my ear. Where have I heard
Mais où?
Seriously? It's literally the same story you just experienced yesterday.
Oh, indeed it is. Interesting.
Yes, I concur. The person who left this paper could quite possibly be the criminal, or even a witness to the theft. But why leave the paper here in such a fashion? And if the one who left it here was a witness, why didn't they attempt to stop the burglary?
Alright, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Meeting together in Inazuma like this is a most rare occasion. Since we've been busy from the start of the day, let us find an inn with good drink to keep our thirst at bay.
Hey!
Je pense pas, voilà, c'est ça.
You're already thinking about more drinks?
Propose de la bouffe et là il dit oui.
That Albedo still has a portrait to complete. We don't have time to be slacking off.
No, it's fine. Let's all go for a drink together. It'll be my treat.
Ok, il est plutôt cool.
Wait a minute. What about your portrait?
As I mentioned before, I'm the kind of artist who can work quickly once I'm inspired. And now, it seems I've found my source of inspiration. If I use a model as reference for the piece, we must pay him back with the appropriate recompense.
Ah, donc c'est Venti.
In that case, we'll need to order more dishes.
Ok, donc on va tous bouffer.
One year, the poet Suikou made his way to Tenshukaku and presented the Kasen's work for the shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suikou was questioned regarding the matter. Suikou pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
Wow, you really came through, Albedo.
Ça c'est une belle histoire, un beau
You were
portrait.
able to complete the first portrait before the opening ceremony.
C'est magnifique.
Yes, it really is a sight to behold. Not only does it harken to the traditional style of Inazuma, but it also makes use of modern aesthetics. My figure is particularly striking. Even though I'm sound asleep in the portrait, I still appear as glorious as always.
Hey, don't get too full of yourself, tone-deaf bard. You were just a model. The person in the artwork isn't actually you.
Il va se la raconter maintenant.
Albedo, who will be your next portrait?
The next one will be Aoi no Okina of the 5 Kasen.
Albedo, might I suggest waiting a little before starting on the next one? Who knows? You might soon discover another story.
Another story?
Ok.
I believe he's referring to the possibility of finding another paper with tales of the 5 Kasen. According to the reference materials I was given, we've only found the first of a total of 4 chapters.
Do you think the mysterious person who left the first paper will strike again?
Ah, en fait, il laisse des notes.
That certainly is a possibility. Also, there are some points regarding the stories of the 5 Kasen that have left me rather curious. For example, the reference materials make mention of 5 legendary figures, Yet all the popular stories only consist
Donc c'est
of
le
4
dernier
parts.
poète qui met les notes.
It appears that throughout all the stories, there is never a chapter dedicated to Kuronushi.
Yes, I'm also curious about these stories myself. But who knows? They may merely be akin to the old saying in Mondstadt. Seeds of stories brought by the wind and cultivated by time. So for now, we need but just wait patiently.
Très bien, on va attendre. L'étrange histoire de la teinte d'ivresse de ce nain est terminée. Nickel. Ok, festival, c'est commencé. Super. Mais il y a encore une quête. D'accord. Poésie Hirodori. Très bien, très bien, très bien.
You want to learn some Favonia's blade work? All right then, I'll teach you. Oh yes.